Justice Goddy Uwazurike of the Court of Appeal has demanded punishment for two lower court judges, Justice Ubali of the Jigawa State High Court and his counterpart in the Imo State Judiciary, Justice B.C. Eka, for what she described as unprofessional conduct. She says they acted out of order by hearing suits involved in the Anambra State gubernatorial election controversy and giving consequential judgments on it. Justice Uwazurike made these demands while ruling on Tuesday on a motion by Chike Onyemenam SAN, counsel to Jude Okeke, who claims to be the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, to stop the execution of the order made earlier on the 18th of July by Justice Charles C. Oka of the Anambra State High Court in Oka. Now, the earlier order had directed the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to recognize the former Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN's governor, Professor Charles Soludo, as the ABGA candidate in the 6th of November gubernatorial election in the state.
And joining us now to revisit the merits of this case, as well as Anambra State politics in general, is lawyer and human rights advocate Chief Goddy Uwazurike. Good to have you, sir, as usual.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
Now, I know you can help us clarify this issue. The justice is saying at the appeal court that they shouldn't have heard the suits in the first place. This would seem to be a clear procedural or even jurisdictional, you say, encumbrance. I'm trying to find the right word, that they've gone beyond what was their rightful power to do. Is it that they've done this before? Why did they have the audacity to make such a to overstep?
I think I like the language. Why do they have the audacity? As a lawyer, I would say judicial rascality, that is what you are watching. And for that to happen, you must have a lawyer who has forgotten that he is a lawyer and that there is an altar where the man who sits there is called the judge. And the judge has also forgotten his oaths of office to do justice. There's some of it all. The procedure is you are within a territory. Let me just give you an example. If something takes place in Onitsha now, you go to Onitsha, High Court in Onitsha. If it takes place in Awka, you do the same thing. If you just cross River Niger Bridge and go over to Delta State, to Asaba, if it takes place in Asaba, you have no business going to Anambra to sue. For that reason, all those who went to this court, Okwa, Abia High Court in Okwa, Bauchi High Court in one remote area, Jigawa High Court, Imo High Court, all of them are all playing what I would call truancy as lawyers.
No, but we've always seen this has almost become a practice whereby you see people almost slinging suits from one end to the other here in Nigeria. So this is not the first of its kind.
Yeah, it's called forum shopping. In other words, they are looking for where a judge who will listen to you is. Now look at why they went to some of those remote courts. There is only one judge. In Birnin Kudu, probably there's only one judge. So whatever you file, you see him there. So that's why Jigawa High Court, you bring in Kudu, where the judge is sitting, you bring it. He suddenly sits and determines what happens elsewhere. Granted that the reason that the front they're putting up is challenge of the chairman, of national chairman of the party. But an intelligent judge will see it and see through what is going on. So if the truancy is about Anambra elections, what is the business of Okwa, Birnin Kudu, Owerri, and so on Bauchi? What is their business?
Before we come into what issues concerning the Anambra election, the Nigerian Judicial Commission, what should they be doing?
That's NJC.
Yeah, the NJC.
The NJC is the body empowered to appoint, discipline, dismiss all judges, all justices in this country. So this is the time for them to step in. All the judges who have assumed jurisdiction when they had no such jurisdiction must be disciplined. All the lawyers who took all these cases to all those courts, I call on the National Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee to look into it. If you remember Ondo State's governorship election 4 years ago, a particular lawyer was insistent in playing judicial truancy. And before you knew it, Supreme Court hammered on him, removed the silk. He is no longer SAN. And when this last election came up, last week or so, the decision of Supreme, he was there. He was not there anymore. And nobody has heard from him. So that when a lawyer or a judge is playing God, he should remember he has clear feet. And Justice Iheme and even the Court of Appeal in Kano, they were seriously castigating all those errant players in the altar of justice.
I imagine that as someone who works within this forum, this gladdens your heart, because a lot of people have said, as concerns the judiciary, that we have failed to play the role, or the judiciary has failed to play the role of the gatekeeper. And with this statement, what are you hoping to see as a domino effect of this ruling by Justice Iheme?
I would like to see National Judicial Council, and if possible, the Supreme Court, as I expect these cases to go there, to be as firm as the Court of Appeal in Oka and Court of Appeal in Kano. They were seriously rebuking all those people. First and foremost, any lawyer who wants to do forum shopping, he has actually committed an unethical practice. And our rules are there. So let the hammer land on them. Any judge who assumes jurisdiction without looking first at territory, we call it territorial jurisdiction, and then subject jurisdiction. What do I subject? How can a high court in one state be making an order that affect the national chairman? Telling the national chairman, go away. It is the other man. No, you don't do that.
Interesting.
Very angry with them. I am.
All right, so what's the implication of this particular judgment, this ruling, right?
Well, the implication is that presently INEC will be confused, but I don't think they should be. We had a similar case in Imo North, and INEC took a most reasonable decision recently, this senatorial by-election.
Okay.
What INEC did was to say candidate unknown or to be determined by courts. So you have the name of the party. For instance, you have APGA sitting there. You have a PDP sitting there. You have APC. These are the parties actually I know that have the serious court cases. So party can name vacant to be determined by courts. So once they finish the election, they will now continue. If by next year the Supreme Court says it is Mr. X who should have been the candidate, he will be sworn in. But if it is not determined, all INEC has to do is to wait after declaring the results. And if you remember, Anambra has a peculiar case, a system of governorship elections. In Anambra, the voters are very intelligent. You cannot deceive them. With all their money, they can still take your money and vote against you. So I respect them, and I'm sure they are monitoring what is going on. So whichever party is there, their name will be there. I like to be on the safe side. If you want, you leave the name. So if you want to follow the law as it is today, it is what the Court of Appeal has determined.
But just listening to you, it makes me conscious that the whole Swiss cheese phenomena has failed, because before we get to this stage, we must have had the primaries, which somehow we had parallel primaries. So, I don't know, maybe in one word, imparting, what are some of the things that need to be resolved before we can see ourselves having credible elections?
Well, I know that if you want to do convention, you give INEC a certain number of days' notice. If you want to hold primaries, you must also give INEC notice. INEC is expected to send people to go and observe and write reports on what happened. So if INEC did not observe a convention, forget it. I know that APGA had his convention in November last year. In Oka, it was on air. Now, they had primaries recently. Then they had another one a few days after. PDP did something. In one of them, Val appeared. In the other one, Anduba, Ugochukwu came up. APC had a peculiar problem. Dr. Chris Ngige was still sitting in his ward, waiting to cast his vote. Meanwhile, they were already announcing the winner as Andy over there. So in all this, INEC has just one duty: wait for the court to decide, and then announce the party that has won. And for the voters, I would say, be as consistent as you have been. Or as we say in the streets, shine your eyes.
All right. Chief Goddy Uwazurike, always a pleasure having you here in the studio.
Thank you very much.